So for our physical activity intervention, we chose to target the group of obese children from the ages 6 through 12. Our program is called Move Up. That stands for motivating, outgoing, vigorous exercise to uplift physical activity. So a little bit of background. According to recent studies from the CDC, roughly 21% of children of the ages 6 to 12 are obese. And for even more specific details, in 2006, the rate of obesity increased from 6.5% in 1980 to nearly 20% among 6 to 11-year-old children, while another increase of children ages 12 through 17 went from 5% to 18% during that same time span. Obesity in general is a growing concern in the United States, all over the world, but in the United States especially. And teaching children healthier habits and introducing them to physical activities that they can associate with fun memories, good times with friends is always a great step in their development. And a couple of more things, a couple of more factors that can lead to these things. In a study done in 2022, it was shown that adolescents with the highest screen time were 1.27 times more likely to be overweight or obese than those with lower screen times. Screen times are something that just keeps increasing every year at a staggering rate. And there's a lot of other factors such as children's parents, the way that they are raised at home, the meals that they eat at home, the habits they're taught by their parents, that also contributes them to having multiple things such as bad diets and bad relationships with food and a poor understanding of nutritional value in food. And our needs assessment will be done through surveys about home. Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll crop that out. Don't worry. Guiding theory.
Sorry.
The model that we're going to be using is the SEM model. That is the social ecological model. We chose this model because I feel like it recognizes the behaviors that are shaped not just by your individual decisions, but also your environment. And that's important for our group because we're specifically focusing on children, and children cannot make decisions by themselves. They are influenced by everything around them, especially their parents or their caretakers. And the SEM allows the program to target parents, household routines, family behaviors, and local environment to create lasting change in the children's lives. So our goal overall is to promote active and healthy lifestyles and eating habits for children in the Houston area so that physical activity and healthier foods become a sustainable part of their daily routine. A couple of ways we're going to do this is by increasing the total of number of minutes a week that a child participates in physical activity, such as sports or active games, improving their nutritional education by teaching children about the benefits of fruits, vegetables, and avoiding fast food often, encouraging families to support healthier routines at home, including preparing nutritious meals and promoting outdoor activity to reinforce habits learned during the program. So, like I said, the population that we are focusing on are children ages 6 to 12 who are obese, as this population are at a higher risk of chronic health issues and poor physical activity habits because, for the most part, they're not going to be involved in many physical activities. They're not going to have those connections in their head with good times. They're going to be oftentimes influenced by their parents, and like I said earlier, those bad habits just pour onto the kids. So while the program does target these obese children, it is open to all students in the after-school setting. Participation by non-obese children is also encouraged, as teaching healthy habits early benefits all students and helps create a healthy relationship with them overall. So yes, our focus group will be those kids that are obese from the age of 6 to 12, but again, it'll be open to everybody because spreading the nutritional education is important for all kids of any ages, of any size. So for funding, access to a free soccer field, basketball courts will be given to us by the school. We're going to need 3 instructors who are familiar with teaching children in individual sports such as volleyball, soccer, and basketball, who are willing to work 1 to 2 hours a week. And this will roughly come out to around 7,000 total a semester. The program is going to be free to all students willing to participate, and donations such as donation events, bake sales, and fundraising will also be optional for these kids. We're trying to implement monthly field trips for sports games, which will be the costliest part of our program, and they're going to range anywhere from $20 to $50 per student, which they will not be required to pay for any of those. Social group fundraisers such as bake sales, talent shows, and exhibition games at the end of each semester can generate an extra $500 to $1,000. And as for a grant that we were able to find, we were able to find the Childhood Obesity Prevention Challenge Area Grant. This will give us an estimated $6,700. But overall, our core mission in the program is to be easily accessible to every student. So having low cost options is critical to us to be able to do that and to successfully reach our goals. And here's like a rough timeline of the program. So it would be a semester long thing because it does happen. The schedule will be after school. So roughly a week would look like Monday will be a full day of basketball. Wednesday will be a full day of volleyball. Friday can be 30 minutes of soccer, which will be not the full day. The rest of it will be self-assessment of the students, goal setting of the students, and nutritional education, which will be kind of like a class. And each day starts with a 15-minute warm-up period before, where the students get a rundown of rules in proper form. And then towards the end of the semester, we will have final assessments And also we will have celebration and certificates, and students will be rewarded these on the individual levels, such as who showed the most heart, who was the quickest learner, and who improved the most. And this will give those kids an extra thing to fight for, because we all know kids are very competitive, especially in a sporting environment.
Intervention activities, strategies. So our intervention strategy for this program will focus on the individual level, targeting each child's physical activity knowledge, behaviors, motivation, and social engagement. The program uses three coordinated components consisting of informational, behavior, and social. This is to support consistent participation and improvement in physical activity. Measurement. Activity logs will be given weekly to self-monitor each child's progress throughout the week. And it will basically consist of the activity that was completed, the duration, intensity, using a kid-friendly scale 1 through 5. It'll be pretty much easy to understand, 1 being the hardest, or vice versa, 1 being the easiest and 5 being the hardest, and how they felt during and after the session. These logs will be used during the behavior reflection sessions. Another measurement tool that we'll be using will be the pre and post fitness assessments. At the beginning and end of the program, children will complete basic fitness assessments appropriate for ages 6 to 12, such as 6-minute walk tests, shuttle runs, and the number of repetitions given through sit-ups, push-ups, and many more. And this will basically provide measurable changes in endurance and strength. We also measure our program through instructor observation checklists. Instructors will use a chart checklist to track participation, effort, skill development, ability to follow instructions, and social interaction. Goal completion tracking will pretty much be weekly goals set during behavior sessions to monitor and compare the children's activity logs to measure consistency and improvement. The setting of our program will be taken after school. The strengths will pretty much allow us to give us ample time to implement certain workouts using information given to students. In addition to our program being after school, we are connected with the after school program, which also give us bus transportation, allowing kids to have a way back home. However, some limitations that do follow this are parents, not appreciating their kids staying after school for a certain amount of time, and it's just pretty much due to, some parents being concerned about their children's whereabouts. Intervention activities. Innovation. What makes our program different is our multidimensional approach that moves beyond the traditional way of motivating kids to be active. Our program focuses on a combination of education, self-reflection, and goal setting, with group interactions to create a framework that will create behavior and change and ultimately long-term adherence. Specific program activities. It will be given through information, behavior, and social, but to start off, the informational part, it will pretty much begin before the children engaging in physical activity. This will consist of 3 15-minute sessions per week dedicated to explaining and educating them on the benefits of the chosen exercise/physical activity that they will be engaging in. Behavioral, this will be 1 session per week where kids will set their goals and reflect on how they perform throughout the week. These sessions will consist 15 to 20 minutes per week. And goal setting and tracking their activity logs will allow not only the girls, but also the children to take a look at their progress. Incorporating this behavioral strategy will help identify what struggles they face throughout the week that they thought that set them back, and also be a tool for improvement moving forward. As for social, weekly Jeopardy style games will be played once a week for about 45 minutes. This will pretty much be a randomizer app that will pick names. Once they're called, they will have the opportunity to talk with their team and come together on what they were taught that week. Some unexpected consequences that will come with our program, one being parent/caretaker pickup times that will be different than normal school hours. Students may not be able to participate certain days, which will shuffle with our sport weekly activities. And last but not least, unusual physical activity. Some students may feel burnout, which will cause them to fatigue faster, resulting to some dropping out. Our program implementation. To promote the MOVA program, the team will use school-based and community-centered marketing strategies that will reach both children and parents. Our way of doing so is with flyers that will be, shown throughout the schools, elementary schools, pediatric clinics, after-school program, and community centers. It will also be done through announcements during morning school broadcasts or whenever it will be given. Social media posts, it will be done through school district platforms and local youth organization pages, peer informational sessions, teacher endorsements, culture posters that will stand out to the eye, and word of mouth promotion. Some recruitment techniques that we do have that will follow with some incentives will encourage families to enroll their children through our Move Up program through a positive age appropriate. And some incentives that will follow for students/children will be stickers, wristbands, or water bottles, or even a welcome kit that will pretty much showcase our gear. Program implementation part 2. Some people that we did talk to or interview were a local basketball team, AAU to be specific, head coach. His name was Coach Michael Hernandez. Some things that we did learn about interviewing him was that children's ages 6 to 12 are more likely to stay active when activities are structured, short, and high energy. Many children with obesity feel intimidated in competitive sports, so programs must emphasize non-competitive cooperative games. However, this is not always fit the case because a lot of kids around this age are competitive. So I feel like it just depends on the individual itself. And another thing he didn't mention was that consistency matters. Children respond well to routine, especially when there are weekly learning and reflection components. And social engagement helps with retention when kids make friends in the program. However, to get closer in the loop, we were able to interview a parent that will, like pretty much give us an inside loop of how kids around our age, not our age, but more so our population will think. And coming from a mother that has a 9-year-old that struggles with weight and confidence, she said that some things that we should look out for are that some children do feel nervous trying new activities, and many parents want programs that are fun and not just exercise focused. And goal setting activities are helpful because kids like seeing progress, which is understandable. Another thing that she also mentioned was that families prefer programs hosted at schools because it just feels familiar and something safe. Evaluation. Our process will be done to track each student's attendance and monitor their active participation in sessions to ensure that they are actively engaged and enjoying the program in general. Impact. We will implement surveys and pop quizzes to determine each student's enjoyment and active participation to ensure our program meets our goals of engaging kids socially and educating them. The outcome. At the end of each semester, we will also involve parents/caretakers by asking them about possible changes in their children's approach to physical activity. This will provide support to parents in need of healthier food options and educate them as well to provide the best situation for each student. Implications. Policy. If it were to be successful, our MOVA program will provide an effective way by showing that it needs to be structured while also being non-competitive. And this will pretty much encourage students, not only students, but also districts, to allocate time and space for similar interventions. However, if it were to be unsuccessful, policymakers may need to reassess barriers such as transportation, scheduling, parental involvement, or even staff capacity. As for research, if it were to be successful, our MOVA program includes information, behavior, and social elements. Researchers could study which components have the strongest impact on participation, motivation, and fitness outcomes. However, if it were to be unsuccessful, researchers may need to explore alternative motivators, different instructional methods, or barriers related to environment, family dynamics, or even child self-esteem. As for practice, if it were to be successful, program designed for PE teachers, coaches, and youth staff. It will pretty much consider integrating short educational lessons, weekly goal setting, or even non-competitive activities. And last but not least, fun team-based learning games, something that children love. However, if this were also to be unsuccessful, practitioners may also need to adjust intensity levels, teaching styles, timing, or even incentives used. And this is our last slide, pretty much explaining our sites that we use.